This is FreshBooks. It's a tool that I use to track time and send invoices to my clients. So it was really nice to figure out how to get these invoices to automatically create themselves every month and send themselves to the client. So I literally just track my time for a particular project. My subcontractors do the same. And then my client gets an invoice emailed to them automatically. So that's been great, but recently I was able to set it up so that my clients can pay for those invoices automatically without taking any action whatsoever. So certainly there's an option to use Braintree or PayPal to accomplish that, or actually just Braintree in my case. And set it up as an auto bill right in FreshBooks. But I wanted to avoid the typical 2.9% fees that are associated with payments by credit card or PayPal. So what I did is I figured out how to do this so that now I'm just paying 49 cents and have this other tool, Bill.com, process a bank transfer automatically, again, without the customer having to do anything. So let me show you how I did that. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with FreshBooks, I'm going to also show you how to set up a recurring invoice. So under the Invoices menu, you have two options, Invoices and Recurring. I clicked on Recurring and clicked on Create New. So we're starting fresh. You can do it once a month or whatever. I typically do it once a month, and I'm going to do it forever, but you might want to limit it for the 6 or 12 or 18 months that your customers have signed up for. So today is the 14th, and that's fine. I'm going to use a client that's just a test, and I'm not going to select any of my payment options, but I do want my this customer to receive invoice once a month by email. So how is it going to be automatically generated? Well, I'm going to tell this invoice to include unbilled time and expenses. That's how I get. So I've selected a test project and any other project created in the future. I also want to bill for those and include it in a detailed invoice for my client, including all the expenses. So parking or something like that I might add. And then it's going to create time entries and tell me that all the time entries are going to end up as line items, and expenses will also end up as line items. So once you've done that, you just hit save, and it's going to send out an invoice immediately because I've set today as the start date. So maybe I'll start it tomorrow. And then when I hit save, it's going to tell me now that my client's going to automatically be notified every time the invoice is created. Now, keep in mind that I had already set this, so I'm going to show you the trick in the settings. Recurring invoices, you want to have this box checked to send automatically, and if they pay, you want to apply that as a payment. Recurring invoices actually show up under the Invoices section. The Recurring tab is really just for creating and editing the recurring profile. Or invoices that are recurring, but every time they get generated, then they show up in this list of invoices. So here's one that I created recently with this test client, and I had logged some time, and then it created this invoice for $2.85. So because this invoice was then added to my list of invoices, I can get that to show up. So those show up in my other system, Xero.com. I have to pay for Xero, but it's well worth it because it helps to automate my life. In here, you'll see the same invoices are listed. Click on Settings, go to General Settings, and then when you scroll down, you can connect to additional services. So under the add-ons, there's a number of things that you can do, but with FreshBooks, you just click Setup, and eventually it'll get set up. You're asked to specify some accounting settings whenever you connect to accounting systems, but since I'm just using Xero as a basic connector between FreshBooks and yet another tool, it doesn't matter so much to me, but just so you know, you can use the default sales category, and for the payment account, whatever you want to use, but I use money in clearing. Anyway, you may want to talk to your accountant about which ones to choose, but to get it to work the way that I'm going to show you, it doesn't necessarily have to be specified exactly how you see here. So I signed up for Bill.com because it connects to Xero, and therefore I can get my invoices that show up in FreshBooks or created in FreshBooks to then be passed into Xero and then passed automatically into Bill.com. So under the receivables tab, there is a list of invoices, and as long as you update to show any, you'll see all of the invoices that have been pulled in from FreshBooks into Xero into Bill.com. Now you can see the payment status is paid, and that is because this customer that matches the same customer details that I have in FreshBooks is set up for AutoPay with these settings. So I'm going to show you how I did that and also how I connected to Xero. First thing that you need to do is set up your Bill.com account properly. So if you go to the settings menu over here, there's a startup checklist that I recommend working with first. So with First Sync, you can start there. This is where you're going to select Xero as your accounting solution that you want to connect to. You're only allowed to select one accounting application to connect to with Bill.com. So when you click the Connect button, of course, I'm already connected, so I'm not going to walk through the whole thing. You're going to see this pop-up screen. Don't dismiss this. You really want to click on this link here and watch the startup video or the setup video. So here's a video that they show you, and I'm going to just skip ahead to about 6 minutes in to show you one of the important parts, but I do recommend watching the whole thing. I'm going to make sure that invoices are automatically authorized in the Bill.com system as soon as they come in from Xero. So you're going to only check the box at the top, and you are not going to check this box. And I'm just going to let the guy tell you why.
The sync is able to authorize invoices in Xero for you. Only check one of the boxes. And here are the options. Authorize invoices. The sync will authorize unpaid invoices from Bill.com to Xero. Unpaid invoices will sync to the awaiting payment status in Xero. Only authorize paid invoices. This option, the sync will only authorize paid invoices in Bill.com to Xero. If you sync an unpaid invoice, it will come over as awaiting approval.
Okay, so that's the gist of it. There are a lot of other settings when you first connect to Xero. Just to give you a sense of it, you're going to be presented with a number of options that look like this. They're pretty simple. Again, there's going to be, you're going to have to select the accounts and how they line up with your Xero account. So in my case, the Xero account was pretty much, I was starting from scratch, so it didn't really matter all that much how I set it up. So you're just going to finish connecting to Xero, and then your account will look a lot like what you see here. I can adjust preferences here later after the fact, of course. So I'm going to go back to the startup checklist. So let's assume that you've done the first sync with Xero and brought in any existing information. You want to go down this checklist here just to kind of set up your Bill.com account. And one of those things is inputting your bank account. So this is your bank account information so that you're telling Bill.com where to send the money that comes into your business. So that's a really important step. And then how you want to get paid is another thing. I have selected e-payment. So that means a bank transfer. And this takes maybe a day or two to get approved. You can see that I've already been approved here, but when you check this box and you're gonna, for the first time, you're gonna have to fill out a form with your tax identification number and all that, so that they can just kind of verify that you're legit. Once they do that, then you are able to set up your clients on AutoPay via bank transfer. Here we are under the receivables menu under the Get Paid option. I have selected a customer that I'm just now setting up with AutoPay or even any kind of payment that's electronic. So I've selected them, and then I click on Charge Customer directly, and then it says you have not authorized this customer. So I'm going to click here to authorize, and this is where you're going to check the authorized box, and you're going to also go ahead and click Save and Add Bank Account. That's going to take you to the screen where you can click on Add Account in the top right. This is where you're going to type in all their bank information that they have provided you. On the payment setup screen, you'll see a couple check boxes that I have checked, but before you check them, you need to make sure that you have a couple legal things in place. This is not legal advice that I'm giving you right now, and I am not a lawyer, but what I can tell you is that based on the information here, this is you checking the box to confirm that your customer has given you written permission to directly charge their bank account or credit card. So there's a few ways that you can obtain that. I am obtaining that from my customers by having them fill out this form, which indemnifies their bank and all this great stuff. It also gives them essentially a place to tell me, their bank information, their account number, the routing number, which you type in their payment details. So now I've also checked the other box, which is to automatically pay bills. So that I'm able to do that because they're signing something here that says that's okay with them, for them to be automatically billed whenever I invoice them, or maybe it's in a contract that you have with your client. The other thing that it's important to specify is that you're going to have to type in a maximum amount. They need to know what the number that you're typing in here, and they need to provide that along with their written consent. So I've selected a bank account that corresponds to this customer. So this is my customer's bank account information that I've typed in there. And in order to do the auto pay, I need to tell Bill.com, well, when is the money going to start to be transferred? Well, how about 7 days before the invoice is due? I thought that was suitable.